2 days until Ohio State football takes the field at the Horseshoe. Let's go. Get pumped up. OH, baby. Come on. The Buckeyes are back, and this is a season I can't wait for. You're watching the Ohio State Football Report. We have plenty to talk about today, so let's get going. Buckeye Nation, let's go. I've been noticing a lot of people that have been watching the last couple videos aren't subscribed, but they're finding this video through social media or browsing through YouTube. I love that people are coming to watch the videos, but if you want to keep watching the videos and keep watching Ohio State content, please hit that sub button. Go Bucks, baby. Come on, let's go. Let's hit that sub button and let's get going on this video. In today's show, I'm going to talk about my 5 bold predictions for this Ohio State 2024 season. They're pretty bold, but at the same time, I like to think most of you agree with what I want to talk about and my opinions on where this Ohio State team is going to be this year. And we're going to start with the freshman phenom, Jeremiah Smith. This guy is going to be starting, as Ryan Day said this past week. I believe he'll be breaking the freshman wide receiver record that was held by no other than Chris Carter, who is one of the greats in Ohio State history and one of the greats in NFL history. Looking at Chris Carter's stats from his rookie year, I know that's an old headshot right there from 1984, but you know what? It will do. 648 receiving yards, 41 receptions, and 8 touchdowns. Let me repeat that. 648 receiving yards, just about over what Egbuka did last season in full with an injury. And for Jeremiah Smith to be your wide receiver 3 and a start, you would have to think this is very achievable for Jeremiah Smith. So it might not be the boldest prediction in the world or the hottest take, but it's not easy for any freshman to break any record. If it's going to be one freshman, it's this freshman, Jeremiah Smith, the Iron Buckeye, the #1 overall recruit in this latest recruiting class, according to 24/7 Sports. So how could he not do it? I want to know from you guys, do you believe JJ will break this record or not? Type Y in the comments for yes, type N for no, and I want to hear a reason why as well. If you think he's going to, tell me why. Is it because he'll be a great deep ball threat? Will he be good in the slot? Will be his route running? Or no, because there's so much competition at Ohio State that it's not that easy to do? I think he will, and that's why it's a bold prediction of mine. This should be fun to watch him in action. And to pass Chris Carter, that's one of the greats all time. That means they're doing something well. My second bold prediction, Egbuka does better than 2022. And why I say that is because his 2022 season was his best season yet. 2023, he was bogged down with a leg injury that kind of hurt him midway through the season. And for Egbuka to be able to come in and have an effect like he did in 2022, where it was over 1,100 receiving yards, he was dominant, and he was really that #2 option Ohio State loved. He's gained a lot of comparisons and a lot of compliments from his coach, Ryan Day. And Ryan Day had this to say about Emeka. He can catch a handoff, run a bubble. He can block. He can run deep routes. That's not much Emeka can't do. He can do a lot of things as a player. When I think about him as a player, it's somebody who is strong. Those are pretty good remarks to hear from Ryan Day, and I'm curious for you guys to tell me, how confident are you that Emeka is going to have similar, if not better, to a 2022 season? Scale 1 through 10. 1, not at all. He's not going to do it. No way, Matt. What are you talking about? 10? Heck yeah. Let's go. Emeka's going to get 1,200 yards, 1,300 yards. This dude's going to lead the Big Ten. I want you to tell me, I think Emeka's going to do it. It's hard to do because over 1,000 yards for anybody in terms of receiving is not an easy feat to be able to beat. But if it's going to be one guy and it's going to be 1 year, it's Emeka this year, no longer having Marvin in the same wide receiver room. You're the perennial star of this wide receiver room. Go take it and go be Will Howard's best friend when it comes to throwing the ball. Third prediction. Ohio State has the #1 overall defense in the country. They had #3 last year. #1, not that much worse to do in terms of the rankings they're able to push up towards the top of the list, which a couple fellow Big Ten teams are right up there, and we'll talk about that in a second. But Ohio State's defense last year, 3rd overall in the country, best passing defense. They allowed the least amount of passing yards per game against any opponent. Over about 146 yards per game they led up through the air. Their rushing defense was pretty good. I think it will be better because of how many players they return, especially in the interior with Tyreek Williams and Ty Hamilton leading the way. They're going to be run stuffers. Their third down conversion defense was phenomenal last year, and that really helped them out, especially in that Notre Dame game. Be able to get the Irish off the field in a hostile environment. Can Jim Knowles dial it up once again on third down, sending the blitz, coming back into his zone, and kind of pressing the outside as much as possible. Then the points per game, that's where they really shined. It was just 12 points per game they allowed, and that's why they were one of the top defenses in the country. I just talked about some similar opponents in Notre Dame. They had a great defense. Ohio State was able to take care of them on the road. But the two teams in front of them are their rivals. Michigan won national championship last year. We know how dominant that defense was and should be again. Let's hope Ohio State can be better. Penn State, Manny Diaz, who's now the head coach at Duke. He's a defensive coordinator genius. He's a guru when it comes to calling plays on the D. But he's gone now. Now it's a new regime in Penn State. I think Penn State might have a little bit of a drop-off. Now that Chop Robinson's also gone their star defensive end, who's with the Miami Dolphins. I need you to join this community as Buckeye fans. You know why? Because we talk about Buckeye stuff all day, all related. I've been responding to you guys in the comments. I've been talking to people on Twitter. So if you want to get started, hit that sub button as I talked about earlier. All it takes is 1 second. Turn your notifications on too, because once I post a video, which is going to be almost every single day, you're going to get an alert. Oh, what's Matt got to talk about today? What do Buckeye fans, what are they buzzing about within this 2024 season? I'm going to get you there, and I'm going to keep you in check with all Buckeye-related stuff. So hit that sub button. My fourth prediction, Ohio State is a top 4 seed in the college football playoff. I don't know how bold that is, as Ohio State's usually in that range when they make the playoff, especially that used to be a 14 playoff. But now that there's 12 teams, this makes it a little more interesting because, one, it's a good thing for Ohio State, but two, it allows them to have that bye for the first round, which I think is so critical for any team that gets a top 4 seed, because you get that automatic bye off to the quarterfinals. And looking at the bracket, you're the 1 seed, you get to play the 9 or 8 seed versus a 7, 6, or 5, which you have a better chance of beating. And it is neutral site at that point. The first round does get played at your college. Quarterfinals, semis, national championship, neutral sites. Good news for Ohio State. I love this. And I believe Ohio State has a path to get there. It's not an easy path, to say the least, but they have a few challenges, but I believe they can do it. And it starts with October 12th beating Oregon. And this is no easy test. The number 3 team in the AP poll at the moment, Ohio State, is number 2. Going to Autzen Stadium, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time on NBC. Expected to be a blackout in terms of what the fans are wearing. And you know that's going to be one of the craziest environments those players have ever faced. They do that, check. You just beat the second best team in the Big Ten, or the best team, whoever you're talking to. You finally beat Michigan. 4 years in the making, it finally happens. You beat them on your home turf. That's what we like to see. That's what the Buckeyes need, and bring that morale back in Columbus that's been so down the last few years. It was down when I was a student. We need it back. And then the last thing, winning the Big Ten championship. That is big for the Buckeyes. And that brings me to my last point. Comes down to the quarterback play. Will Howard wins the Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year by leading them to the Big Ten championship and having such a superb year with all the weapons he has that they're able to have so much success. And looking at the last Offensive Player of the Year winners, they're all Buckeyes since 2018. I mean, talk about dominance within the conference. Last year is Marvin Harrison Jr. The 2 years prior to that, it was C.J. Stroud back-to-back. And we know he's one of the best players in the National Football League now. We knew he was going to Ohio State, but he's even better in the pros. Justin Fields, back-to-back in 2019-2020. He was so good. Ohio State led the Buckeyes to the playoffs multiple times, even to a national championship game. Then Dwayne Haskins, rest in peace. But for Haskins, 2018, won the Rose Bowl with the Buckeyes. Last year's Urban Meyer as the head coach soundly defeated Michigan 62-39. So if Will Howard, or maybe Emeka Egbuka, or one of the running backs for Ohio State, is able to dominate this year, this streak's going to continue. I don't see someone else in the Big Ten that's as dominant as an offensive player as Ohio State has the potential at quarterback, running back, or wide receiver. So let's continue this streak. Let's keep being the kings of the Big Ten that Ohio State has and will always be. Those are my 5 predictions, guys. I mean, those were some good ones. Were they hot takes? Were they cold takes? I don't know. I like to think they were reasonable takes that really can happen. They're bold, but they're also realistic, and that's what makes it so fun. Again, one more time, hit that subscribe button or subscribe at that link. Buckeye content all day. I'll see you tomorrow with another video when we'll be just one day away from game day. Go Bucks.